Welcome to this week's Power Chat, sponsored by Blue Mark Energy. I'm publisher Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com, and we're here in the WTC Gig Powered Studios in downtown Manhattan. This week, we've asked Nick Walsh to sit down with us and talk about his time as a small-town sports hero in Linden, Kansas, and eventually a punter at Kansas State. It all led up to a decision to move to Nashville to become a singer-songwriter. We start off in part one discussing his football career and life in Manhattan. Here's the Power Chat. Welcome to another edition of the Power Chat, sponsored by Blue Mark Energy here in the GPC Gig Powered Studios. Tim Fitzgerald and my guy Nick Walsh, punter extraordinaire, now singer-songwriter. We're going to talk about all that on this Power Chat. First of all, we'll get to Nashville probably in the second half, but how is Nashville?
It's good, man.
That town's crazy now.
It's real crazy. You get in a lot of trouble, and bank account can start hurting pretty quick if you don't be careful, but it's good. It's a cool vibe in that city. There's a lot of people chasing dreams and I want to be songwriters and singers, so it's cool to be surrounded by people like that are just trying to struggle through it with you, and it's good energy down there. So.
Well, let's start off with Linden, Kansas. What was it like growing up in a town of 1,000 people, about 30 minutes south of Topeka?
Yeah, about 30 minutes south. Man, I don't know if I'm one of the few, but everybody's always wanting to get out. I'm the guy that got out that wants to come back. You know, I wish Nashville was in Linden on a smaller scale, but it was great, man. I had a lot of fun just because I like being outdoors and hunting, and luckily had a really good friend group from 2 years under me to 2 years above me.
That's
all
cool.
of us guys are super close. We are still. They're all still my best friends. We took sports super seriously and just couldn't get us out of the weight room, couldn't get us, out of the deer blind. So it was a lot of stuff we could do. But yeah, I loved it, man. It was, I'm thankful to be raised in that town, and one of my biggest passions is just going home and being around there, being around the community, and it's a pretty special place.
What'd your dad do?
He's an attorney.
He's an attorney. So you didn't grow up on a farm or anything?
Yeah, we grew up out in the country. My grandpa has a ranch with horses just right up about a mile up the country road, and but yeah, so him and my mom have a small little firm in town, and so they're just doing some kind of local stuff. So.
Now, I understand that it is known as the gateway to the lakes. Have you ever heard that about your hometown? Yeah,
for sure, Melbourne and Pomona Lake.
What is the better of the two lakes?
I always wind up, if I'm going out to the lake, Melbourne. I don't know why. I think the fishing's a little better. I want to say the water might be a little clearer, and there's probably, if anybody watches this that's caters to Pomona might get mad at me, but I don't know.
Yeah, is there
we're closer to Melbourne, so maybe we'll just
go with gangs? Like you mean Millitown, Melbourne, Pomona, and whatever, guys.
Yeah, I'm just closer to Melbourne Lake. That's probably why.
That's pretty cool, though, man. Down there. For a guy that likes the outdoors, to have a lake right there.
Yeah, and we used to have a boat out on the lake, but just tough to keep up with it. So.
Did you have a boat when you were in high school, though?
No, I was even younger than that.
Oh,
I
okay.
Say, so.
Well, that was kind of selfish of your parents to do that.
Yeah, I know.
That'd have been fun in high school to have a boat.
We're going to sell it right when you're old enough to have fun.
So you shared with me that you grew up a fan of a certain other school that is also close to Topeka, not in Emporia State.
Yeah.
How was that change when you started getting recruited or decided to walk on to K-State?
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, I probably sent KU more emails saying I wanted to play for them than I did K-State. But I never heard back from KU, and so I did hear back a little bit from K-State, and at the end of the day, that's where I wound up. But KU just never gave me that chance, and if they did, I probably would have ran with it and went there, which thankfully they didn't, because I'm glad I wound up here. And
although that's a good job for a punter. You get a lot of opportunity when you play for that kind of program.
Yeah, that's true. I would have had to punt a lot there.
I mean, there's a reason Sean Snyder's up on the Ring of Fame. He got a lot of opportunity in his career at Kansas State.
It couldn't have happened better. Exactly for that reason too. Sean helped me a lot. So, but it was KU basketball. I never really got too crazy into KU football, but I just liked the school because of basketball. And but yeah, never worked out, and not a KU fan anymore.
That's awesome. That's so was it Sean the big reason why you picked Kansas State?
Yeah,
an accomplished punter.
Taylor was great.
Right,
recruiting me, and was there for me when I had all the silly questions, as a recruit. And then Sean just took me under his wing and really helped me out, and saw something in me that maybe some others didn't, and thankfully he did, because ended up getting able to play, and met a lot of friends, and just had a really good experience. So
when did you know that you had transformed from, you were a really good high school punter, but that's a different gig. High school, there's a lot of technique you probably learn at the college level.
For sure, yeah.
When did you know, I got this, man, this is good?
Yeah, I'd say it was probably after my senior year of high school, where I started to be able to just focus on punting, whereas in high school games, I'd carry the ball 25 times a game. I'd play middle linebacker. I'd kick off, and I'd punt. So by the time I would punt, I'd be worn out, and I'd have my ankles spatted up, and so it's like not putting myself in a good position to be a good punter when, you're wearing yourself out that much.
Small town football, man, you get to do it all.
Yeah, exactly. But
you were a running back, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you dig that? Was that awesome?
Yeah, dude, that was my favorite position.
And I remember you as a punter. I always loved it when coverage would break down and Nick Walsh got a hit someone, because you
there's a couple.
Lay licks on people. How fun was that?
It was fun, man.
Because you don't look like a guy that's going to hurt someone. When they come up the sideline, it's like, I'm going to push them out of bounds. You would lower the boom.
It was fun when I was wearing my mouthpiece. When I wasn't, like that Iowa State hit, I wasn't wearing a mouthpiece, and I got rattled up pretty good there.
That's funny. That's funny. What were some of the highlights of your playing career at K-State?
Every time we beat KU.
That's funny.
For sure. Man, the bowl games, honestly. I was fortunate enough to go to a bowl game every year, and it was just so cool getting my family together and travel to the bowl games, and just being able to experience that with my family, and my family being able to interact with other teammates, parents, and families, and just, Memphis, down in Texas, just all over. It was just a great experience, man. And I felt like a lot of the relationships and bonds that I have from the team and from, families of the teammates kind of really came together on those bowl trips, because we were just all surrounded by each other, and it was just a great experience. So I'd say those bowl games for sure, man.
Who are your guys on the team that you're still close with? You're going to leave someone out and they'll be pissed.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to ramble on because I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'll start off like my roommates. Corbin Couchman's the guy I lived with from day one all the way to the end, and Austin Cazzarellos and Joe Hubner. But then you get outside of that, and it's all over the place. McCrane, I hunted with Matt a lot, and Mitch Lockbuehler, and now I'm better friends than Jesse. I lived with Ertz for like my last year there, and now we're great friends. And Dayton Valentine, Reed and Ivor, we used to hunt all the time.
There were a lot of good country boys in that group.
Man, there's just too many to name off. I don't want to leave anybody out, but they're all over the place. Had a lot of great friends.
Well, my highlight of your career is that TCU game in 2017 when you literally put a ball out. There's no way to do it better. I mean, that came off your foot and kind of just took that right turn and went to the pylon, and you're like, oh, it's going to hit the pylon. Nope. And I think it was less than an inch off the pylon.
Yeah, man, I still don't understand how that happened.
You should have retired right then.
I know.
Walked off the field.
Take my helmet off, cleats off, just left it all on the field.
Yep.
Started walking in. But no, that was crazy, man. I was pumped up after that one.
You should have been.
I was honestly mad. I didn't make Sports Center or nothing. I was pissed off. I was like,
you
man,
should have been. It was incredible. You literally can't do the coffin corner better than that. It was amazing.
Yeah, man. That was a good feeling. But a better feeling was at OU when I think it was Danzel McDaniel. I put it on the 1 or 2 yard line, but then he picked off, ran it in for 2 yards for interception and pick six. So that's cool. Just knowing that.
So does the punter feel like you're going to kind of claim that touchdown?
Not claim it, but it feels good knowing that I had a small part, and he didn't have to run 80 yards. He only had to run 2 yards.
That was a good play. That was awesome.
But,
let's talk about Sean a little bit. The guy is a really incredible technician when it comes to punting.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't probably find a better coach in the United States to learn that specific position from.
100%.
What did all he teach you?
Man, as far as technique goes, that's something he'd harp on me every day about. But where he helped me the most, I'd have to say, is just like the mental side of things. And we were able to have, that friendship to where we could just talk about, if I had a real bad punt, we could just talk about it later in my career. Beginning of my career, he'd rip my ass after every bad punt, but we got to the point where we could talk about it, and he could, just calm me down from a mental perspective, go in the next punt clear-minded. But I'd say, man, the technique was big, obviously, but once we got that hashed out, it was just more like he was just really good, just keeping me level-headed and just focus on one punt at a time, and just was really good with the mental side of things. So.
Okay, real quick, talk about the different types of punts you have to learn. I mean, it's not just punting the ball anymore.
No,
you're trying to back it up. There's so much that goes into it. It's crazy.
Yeah, you got the, you can shoot the missiles out there, dropping the ball a little bit lower, angling the punts, sideline to sideline. That's something, if you're a punter nowadays, you got to be able to angle to the sideline. You don't want to kick to the returner necessarily. But as far as those ones that spin backwards, it's just dropping the ball straight up and down, and you're usually when you're closer to the end zone on like a pooch punt, and just hoping that ball just backs up and doesn't.
You got really good at that, didn't you?
So that was my favorite punt to hit because very seldom does it come out all wacky like dropping a regular punt would. The wind somehow doesn't affect it as much. You can just literally drop it on your foot. It's not a punt that goes 50 or 60 yards, but it's a solid 38 to 42 yard punt every time, and usually does its job when it needs to back up.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So you get done playing, and you're just kind of hanging around at that point. What you flirted with the NFL, but what was your decision making there when you decided, heck with this, I'm done playing football?
So I went out to California, trained for a little bit, and in my mind, I was, and I had already picked up a guitar at this point and started already trying to fiddle around with that, but no part of me thought I'd be moving to Nashville and doing all that. So I was hell-bent on trying to make it to the NFL, and I had some good feedback from John Carney, the guy out in California, and Sean, that some teams were interested, and so I felt like I had a chance to make a mini camp at the least. And we did pro day, and pro day went pretty good. I punted all right, and we did like some vertical tests and that, and we had one thing left to do, and it was a 40-yard dash, and I wanted to show these scouts that I was athletic, and that if they want to run a fake punt, if they want me to cover. So I decided to run the 40 and tweak my hamstring pretty good.
Good job.
And so couldn't even hardly walk off the field. So that was in front of them, and in their mind, they're probably thinking, this guy's not gonna be able to punt at our mini camp. Kind of maybe penciling me out, I felt like, a little bit. not a single scout came over and asked me how I was doing. So I was like, man, hell with you guys. So I was in Manhattan just trying to rehab that. And my birthday happened to be coming up along with the NFL draft that same weekend. So I was heading back to watch the draft and to celebrate my birthday. And about halfway home, my mom calls crying, and she says, our house is on fire.
I was getting to that.
And I was like, what? And so sure enough, I get like 20 miles away from our place, and I see a cloud of smoke. And
that's not good when you're that far away.
Yeah, so I was like, man, that can't be good. So so that was tough, man. I get there, and everything's pretty much gone.
So what happened when the house caught fire? How did it?
We're still not sure, man. Something in the attic, I want to say. So that was just like, that was eye-opening for me, and I was just like, so I didn't really have like a set. So my parents had to move into an apartment, and I just was, part of me just kind of wanted to get out and get away. And so I just kind of made this decision in my head. So we went to my grandparents' house to watch the draft, and didn't get a call, nothing. Sure. So kind of all that just unfolded in this one weekend, and I just had to kind of talk with myself about what I was going to do with my life. And after that had happened, I was so attached to my home and everything that I had lost. And so
it was almost symbolic, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. So I just made the decision a few months later to move to Nashville. And
at that point, how long had you been playing the guitar and just kind of messing around with it?
Man, I got my first guitar when I was like 12 or 13. Just playing some AC/DC covers, and Jimi Hendrix covers and stuff like that, but never tapped into songwriting until like my last year of playing football at K-State, or singing. I hated singing in front of people, hated talking in front of people, but
that's incredible.
So that took a while to get adjusted to, and it's still an ongoing process, but so that's kind of how that unraveled, and that's kind of how I wound up in Nashville. And it was just therapeutic for me to write about it rather than worry about it. But
before I move on to Nashville, I want to back up and catch a topic, because you were really, really involved with Big Brothers, and you were really close to young man Tate Reed. You wrote an amazing song about Tate's struggle with cancer. Mm-hmm. Well, how'd you get into Big Brothers Big Sisters?
So as far as me and Tate's relationship goes, that was set up because I saw what Ryan Mueller was doing with Caden, and so I had reached out to him. He put me in contact with a few ladies that could help me kind of find a match for myself. So it was actually kind of off the books. Wasn't through Big Brothers. I did end up getting into Big Brothers after that.
Oh wow,
Big Sisters. But it was kind of off the books a little bit, and I reached out to his parents once I found out that Tate had just moved to Manhattan. They're big K-State fans. He was just diagnosed 3 days earlier. And I said, hey, I'd really, if you don't mind, I'd really like to help Tate through this, and, just see if I can be some sort of positive light in his life through this, because I know it's going to be tough. He's a young kid. And I think they were skeptical at first, not sure why I wanted to do that, and but I think finally they kind of warmed up to it, and so I called Tate and asked him if he, wanted to be my friend, and he thought it was cool. I was on the team, so we'd get together and play Legos and all this, and now he's out there beating me on the golf course, so it's kind of cool.
That's awesome. How old is he now?
But 12.
Is that good a golfer, huh?
He's good, man. He's real good.
That's crazy. But how's he doing?
He's doing really well.
Thank God.
Yeah, he's doing super well, super healthy now, and just being a kid, So
that's the worst thing cancer with kids robs, is a chance to be a kid.
Right.
You learn so much stuff.
Yeah,
as a kid,
sure, man.
What to do, what to not do, how to get back up after you do stuff, and they have to lead such a protective life.
Yeah. It was an amazing experience, just being able to be there for him. An awful, experience for their family, and for me as well. He's just started to feel like a little brother to me, and but it was amazing seeing him progress through that and beat it and be who he is today. And then their family's wonderful, helped me a lot, just being good to me, feed me supper, and you know, strong in their faith, family, and just pushed me to be stronger in my faith. And so it's a great family.
Yeah, family's about bonds, not necessarily blood.
Yeah,
and it's
100%.
It's really cool. Well, as you travel through life, you build family around you, and you know nothing replaces the blood, but you've got certain things. That type of relationship. I mean, when you sat down to write that song about Tate, it's probably just all there. You just have to learn to get it out, don't you?
Yeah, man, that song kind of writes itself, and yeah, there's songs like that, and that song could have probably been written a little bit better, but it just kind of says everything it needs to as far as me and his relationship is concerned and kind of what he did. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's where it needs to be. I don't need to try and rehash that out.
It's not a song. When I listen to it, it's not a song like meant for the radio. It's meant for your relationship.
Yeah, and it's just meant for me playing it and just for me to feel that again. And so yeah, that's a cool song, man. He's I think he's heard it a few times and likes it and goes to YouTube and watches it. But yeah, it's he's a survivor and he's a fighter and he's a golf ball driver and he's all sorts of everything. So
it's awesome. So when you start singing, right? I imagine it's like got a couple beers in you.
Yeah.
Or whiskey. Yep. And you're around the fire pit maybe. Mm-hmm. And you pick up the guitar and your boys are saying, "Man, sing us something."
Yeah.
Did you kind of have a circle like you trusted them, like they're not going to bust on me if I'm bad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Like the first step is, I'm terrified. I've never sung in public. I can't imagine just picking up a guitar and singing.
There's definitely those people in my life, I got some back home buddies, Trey Brown, Jordan Tillman, my brother Joe Walsh, my older brother Alex Walsh, sister. Those are kind of the first people I would ever try and play anything for. My parents a little bit, but they would tell me they loved it, but they would also kind of critique me as well. So it was like I didn't lose all sorts of confidence. They didn't tell me it was horrible, but they said, "Why don't you do this? Sing louder, project, act confident in your song." And that's something that goes a long way just in itself, is to just believe in what you're singing. And I don't care. I used to care what people think, like when I sang. It's like now you put me in a room with 100 people that aren't listening, and I'm still gonna have a great time. Because I believe in the songs now, and I'm gonna sing it like it's the last time I've ever sang the songs.
Well, I saw you play last night over at the Blue Mountain Hotel. And you got the bar crowd back there doing their thing, kind of being obnoxious. You got the group of us up front. But for a guy in your position, it's about the process. It's just like learning how to punt the ball, isn't it? You're not going to be an all Big 12 punter / whatever the singer version of that is. Right away, you got to get out there and do your reps.
Yeah, it's funny. You're playing for a crowd and 99 of 100 people are talking and having a good time, but there's one person that might be listening to your song, and sometimes you see that, and that's really all that matters, man. And even if no one is, I'm just smiling in the back of my head knowing someday I'm going to be playing a lot bigger stage than this, and y'all are going to wish you listened to me.
Yeah, well, they will say, I was there.
Yeah.
I saw him play when he was, And like the time I saw Kenny Chesney at Country Stampede at 2 p.m. I tell people about that. Nick, I don't remember the damn thing at all. I just knew I was there. I was probably drunk. But, hey. Yeah. So I got a big question for you here as we get ready to wrap up the first segment here. Do you know the names Jack Colvin and Rip Hagerman?
I probably should.
They are probably the two most famous people to come out of Linden, Kansas.
Really?
Jack Colvin was an actor. He was on the original Incredible Hulk series back in the 70s. He was like a reporter guy. Rip Hagerman was a longtime baseball pitcher in the 1910s before all of us were around. I'm just going to say it.
Wow.
It won't be long before Nick Walsh is the most famous former resident of Linden, Kansas, in part because the competition isn't so bad. It's really, there's like, I looked Linden, Kansas up on Wikipedia, which is like, you know, my research assistant.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 people that I have references to Linden, Kansas. And I thought, well,
Man,
Nick Walsh doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
Is
that when you make it? Is you got a Wikipedia page?
That might be,
I don't know where it comes from.
I don't know. So can't anybody just get on there and slap himself down on Wikipedia? I don't know.
I think you got to ask for one to be set up. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's a quiet little town, though. You know, there's not a lot coming in or out of that place, but that's why I love it.
It is good.
A lot of great people in that town, though.
Would you like the nickname Rip Walsh?
Rip Walsh?
Rip Hagerman. That's a really 1910 nickname.
Right.
That is that. I just laughed. I was like, I was going through all 5 bios trying to figure out who's the 2 most famous. That's the best I came up with. That's going to do it for segment 1 of our Nick Walsh Power Chat. And after this, we're going to get him to Nashville and talk about music. That's why I really wanted him here, because I love his music. We'll be back.